Are you ready to get into No Way Home?
Yeah.
Okay. So, hello everyone. My name is Andreas Diaz. We're doing the Spoilercast of Spider-Man No Way Home. So, do me a favor, guys. Get out of this section and watch the movie before you hear the Spoilercast, because this is going to be a huge talk of Spider-Man No Way Home. All right. Well, um, you saw it on Sunday, just like I did, right?
Yep.
Okay. And we haven't discussed in this channel, of course, the Marvel Plus channel, about Spider-Man. And I want to get kind of your quick thought on Tom Holland as Spider-Man, what you think about his films, and then go after you finish with his two films. Just give me your overall thoughts on Spider-Man No Way Home. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Yeah. Tom Holland is my favorite of the three Spider-Men.
Whoa.
Um, I think
Okay.
Tobey Maguire is like too dorky in a way that feels weird in a live action movie in the 21st century. He feels like the 1960s comics, like caricature of a nerd,
Uh-huh.
which I love in the 1960s comics, but it feels really weird to see that like in live action in a decade that I lived through when I know like nerds aren't treated like that anymore. Um, and just like those movies are very campy in a way that's like fun, but not really what I want from a Spider-Man movie.
Right, right.
Um, and then Andrew Garfield, I really loved him as Spider-Man, but he is a little too like cool.
Mm,
So it's like the opposite problem of as a Tobey Maguire. Um, but I really liked the first Amazing Spider-Man movie,
oh
um,
yeah.
especially Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy.
Oh my God.
But the second one was a hot mess. So, um, but I think Tom Holland really like threads the needle of like he's a nerd, but in a way that like he feels like a real like modern nerd, where
Okay.
it's like not like people don't hate nerds anymore,
No, no.
right? So he's like not a total dork, but he's still not going to be like the cool kid.
Yeah.
Um,
No, no.
yeah, um,
Okay.
he's just like believably awkward instead of Tobey Maguire, where it's like hard to watch how uncomfortable he is around people.
Mm.
Um, and then I think he's also the first one to like really nail the like Peter Parker aspect and the Spider-Man aspect.
Right. Okay.
Um, my one criticism of Tom Holland's Peter Parker was always like he's too dependent on like Tony Stark's influence,
Wait.
uh, which we'll talk about what the film did to address that later. But like I
Yes.
with that fixed, Tom Holland is exactly what I want Spider-Man to be. So I'm very excited for uh, future movies if they can get Tom Holland to come back.
Mm, that's true. Um. Yeah. I mean, they already talked about like they're like they literally talked that they're developing a fourth Spider-Man film in the
Yeah, I
MCU.
know
So
Tom Holland doesn't have a
contract. Yeah. Yeah.
contract
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah.
He like there's no way he doesn't sign it, but like it's not guaranteed, so I don't want to talk about it. Like it's
Yeah. No. No. We'll discuss that like towards the end,
yeah,
as obviously. Okay. And and then I guess my question is like, is like the Holland films are like high in your list?
yeah.
Um,
Homecoming is my favorite live action Spider-Man.
okay. I guess I think when we did the Marvel top 10, which is posted now in the channel, because it became our 100 video, by the way, just let you know, everyone else in the channel. um, you put Spider-Verse as your, like, it was your only,
Yeah, I said live action.
yeah,
My favorite live action
yeah,
Spider-Man movie.
yeah, yeah,
Spider-Verse is far and away the best one.
yeah, best one.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Okay.
Homecoming, yeah, okay, Homecoming is number one, and then, what's your opinion on Far From Home. Um,
Um, I mean that's high up too. I really like that one. I
okay.
Spider-Man 2 is like also really good. Um, and I might put it above that
Mhm.
just because just because I think there can't be doesn't mean I can't recognize that Spider-Man 2 is a great movie. Um,
Yeah.
but no, I liked Far From Home. It like really leaned into the like Peter Parker is Tony Stark Jr. angle. Uh,
Yes.
so it bothered me for that, but everything else about it was great. So
Hmm, okay. Very industry.
yeah, well, I didn't like that he wasn't in New York because it's like very Peter. Like it felt like they took Peter Parker and then put him in a context that Peter Parker like should not be, especially in the like second movie of this iteration. Like I want to see him in his natural environment
Yeah.
before you take him out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't mind that. My problem with Far From Home, like initially, it was the way they handled the post end game, and some of the jokes
Hmm.
just didn't land for
Yeah,
me.
I hate that we're stuck with the name The Blip now because of the joke that they made. And
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
It's just
um,
tough.
yeah, playing that up for like comedic effect as like the first time you address it was not a good call.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But just like as a standalone movie, like trying to separate it from the rest of the universe.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's solid.
Oh
It's a
yeah.
good plot. I think Mysterio is a good villain.
Oh my God.
Jake
Yes.
Gyllenhaal, his performance in that movie is something else.
Oh my God. And I love they got the costume right. That was like another
Yeah.
big one for me. Oh God. I was kind of sad he didn't say was it a fish dome head? From
Fishbowl.
yeah,
Yeah.
fishbowl. I really want him to say that to Jake Gyllenhaal. That'd be funny. His reaction will be hilarious. Oh, okay. And I guess and then getting to this movie, No Way Home, what was your just expectation and just getting into this film when you saw it on Sunday? What was your feelings to this film?
uh, like before I saw it or after I saw
Yeah,
it?
oh, okay. Before it, what was
Before
your yeah, like before?
I I mean I had seen that the reviews were good.
Okay.
So I like my expectations were raised. But just based on like the trailers and what I like the rumors and the
Oh,
premise, I was very worried that they were putting way too much into this movie.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I just there's so many characters to cram into it. Um, but um, well, yeah, after I saw it, they pulled it off. But
No.
it really feels like they should not have. Like I can't believe that they did it.
Yeah. I if they were in the MCU, they could easily like if they didn't make the the renegotiation of the deal,
Hmm.
it was if they did it by themselves, Sony, they can easily drop the ball. But if you didn't have the MCU and Kevin Feige in the team that
Hmm.
has done this big scale team up or like bringing every different character so well like they did before previously since
Hmm.
the Avengers, you were in safe hands.
Yeah,
And I think that was one of the things I was shocked coming out from the movie. It was like, wow, we actually
yeah.
and you were you got let me say one more thing and then you can get back to your point.
Hmm.
I was surprised how we were consistent with the characteristic of these characters from the previous films.
Hmm.
Like I was shocked we kept Sandman's, whole story from Spider-Man 3. I knew Electro we were gonna keep some of his stuff, but it was how they like addressed it and like how why they were different made it work, especially
Yeah.
Electro. But
Yes.
go ahead, go.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the reason here, like Sony had wanted to do the Sinister Six for like a decade, but they
Yes.
didn't know how to do it properly. And that's what killed the Amazing Spider-Man series because they kept trying to like introduce too many things all at once so they could have the Amazing Spider-Man 3 be Spider-Man versus the Sinister Six. But
Mm,
like you can't have six villains set up in two movies, you know?
yeah.
So what this movie did, which was a stroke of genius, was they were like, "Hey, we've already had seven Spider-Man movies. What if we just took the villains from those?
Hmm.
So like you don't have to introduce them to the audience because they already know them. It's like the Avengers. Like
Right.
you already know the characters. They don't need to spend time like introducing you to these characters. They can just get right into the plot.
Yeah.
Um, and you already like care about the people involved. Um, and I think that's the only way you could do the Sinister Six.
Mm,
Um, is like having them set up already, so you don't have to like bog down the films with like introducing all of these characters at once.
right.
And I think this only worked because they chose to do the uh, the villains from the previous movies.
Mm, fascinating. I will disagree with you with the way the Sinister Six. I think they can do a Sinister Six in Tom Holland's universe still by continuing what we left off in Homecoming. Just remember, we did introduce Vulture, Shocker, Scorpion, and then you have three villains there, and then you have the Plower that's still kind of there in MCU with Donald Glover. That's four, right? And then you got two more slots. You can bring in,
Yeah,
I'm just saying
it's possible to do it. It's just the way that
they did
Sony
it
was
here.
doing it.
Yeah.
They weren't.
Um.
They were just building toward it without like introducing the characters. Like I think Tom Holland, you could do it, but it would have to be. Oh, I don't know if you could do it right now because you don't have
Yeah.
enough characters. But like
Um.
if they had slowly built it up over like all three of the films, so they introduced like one of them as the main villain for one, and then the other as like a secondary villain, and you do that each time,
Yeah.
and then by the end you have six, and they can all team up and fight Peter Parker.
Yeah.
But that's not how they had been doing it in the Amazing Spider-Man movies.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be kind of cool if they just kept it'd be kind of cool to have two villains that was not part of Spider-Man's Rose Gallery. Like you can maybe bring in someone from the MCU. That'd be kind of cool to connect to Spider-Man. Like,
Yeah, I mean Justin Hammer's been a Spider-Man villain before.
okay, yes, like I'm fine with that part. But yeah, and I guess I want to I agree what you're saying, Will. I have a question. Do you think we had the Sinister in this movie? Because
I I mean there are only five, first
yeah,
of all, but I this was like basically the Sinister Six.
I mean, yeah,
I think they still might try to actually get like a team together in a future Spider-Man movie, but I think this was like
enough. It
the
was like,
the execs at Sony have really been wanting a team of villains against Spider-Man, and they got that here.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah,
Um, I mean, I gotta admit,
I'm hoping it scratched that itch for them for a while, so they can work on like actually building up a rogues gallery for Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and then they can like if they want to do a proper Sinister Six, they can do it with like all of the villains that they've established over the six movies or whatever.
true, true, true. Yeah, okay. That's yeah. I love the Sinister Six and just one of the best villain teams.
Yeah, no, I think they're great, and I really want them to be done well in a movie. So
Yeah. Um, and I guess getting to now we're discussing this film. What was your best thing about this film, No Way Home? Like, what was the best thing, and then what was the worst thing?
Oh man. Best. It's so hard to pick a best thing. There are
I
so many
know.
good things. I really love how it hit home the like recurring um element of Spider-Man stories where like
Yes.
it's impossible for him to have both a good life as Peter Parker and a good life as Spider-Man.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
it's just, this played into that in such a like brutal way. Um,
Yeah. I
it
mean,
was so good. Um, what's the line that Norman keeps shouting at him? It's like strong enough
to sacrifice.
strong enough to have it all, too weak to take it.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's what he say. Hold
Yeah,
on. I'm
he's like, 'cause
looking.
Peter's like strong enough to like have his like perfect life as Spider-Man and Peter Parker, but he's too weak to like take
Oh,
the responsibility that comes
disability.
from that.
Yeah.
And
Oh, that was a good line. Man, Green Goblin was really great in
oh man,
this
yeah, Willem
movie.
Dafoe is a great villain.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting that, but then they did the smart thing that a lot of people were talking about from the first Spider-Man film, and they did it, and it worked.
Mhm.
Oh my god. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. I completely agree with you, especially how we handle the ending from Far From Home.
Mhm.
This movie did everything right compared to Far From Home. Like, it's a good standalone Spider-Man film, but like the way he addressed the status quo and all that was so much better handled than Far From Home for
Yeah.
me. And I like how we concluded, especially towards the end. I felt,
Mhm.
yeah. And I'm surprised how much they address the things people were kind of bothered by this version of Spider-Man, and it didn't feel like it was reactionary, like how Man of Steel, BVS, or like Justice League or Suicide Squad. Like, it wasn't like, it didn't feel like that. It felt like it was like part of the progression of this character.
Mhm.
Um, which we'll get into more later. Worst thing. Uh,
Worst thing. Oh man. It's hard to. Um, just because I'm having trouble thinking of stuff.
yeah.
Um,
Oof.
there's not a lot that I didn't like about the movie.
Yeah. Um.
Um, it's not that there was nothing though.
Um. I,
Some of the jokes didn't land for me.
ooh. Yeah. Which one? I'm kind of curious.
Um, I like the idea behind this joke, but when Connors and Dylan are talking, when Lizard and Electro are talking, and
Oh.
he's like, "Oh, did you get a makeover?" And he's like, "Oh, I'll give you a makeover." And it's like, "Do you mean you'll turn me into a lizard?" It's like, "Yeah, that's what I meant."
Okay.
Like,
Yes.
I like the idea of the lizard like still pushing for everyone to be a
The
lizard,
lizards.
but just the like
The joke of it is just, ugh.
the like it was the writing or the delivery just felt off, and they didn't really do the concept of the joke justice, I felt.
Yeah. Yeah. There were few jokes that kind of like that. I think it's because he had that long pause. The lizard, like,
Hmm.
yes, I want you to be turned into a lizard. I'm like, why are you making a long pause? Um. Oh my god. Yeah. Um. We ever have a when we ever have our like New Year's Eve party gathering, I'll let you know if that scene still works. That lizard scene.
Okay.
uh, to see if it was okay, or it. maybe there was something wrong with that scene.
Mm.
But okay, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Um, okay. Anything else before I go and my thoughts as well? Um, uh, are you good?
Yeah, no, it's
Oh,
your turn.
okay. 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 So, how to say this? I think Tom Holland. I guess if we're gonna keep the live action rankings, not animation wise, right?
Hmm.
I think my personal number one, it will still be Andrew Garfield,
Really?
and second will be Holland because he has more of the Spider-Man thing I like, but in more modern terms, right? I should
Hmm.
say. And then third will be Tobey Maguire. Tobey Maguire because as you mentioned before, like just Raimi films were camping at the time, which I was fine with. It's just the characteristic of Maguire's Spider-Man was just too like metal drama, and like he was very like monosyllabic
Yeah,
sometimes,
yeah.
and and his relation with MJ was okay, but it got really worse in Spider-Man 3, like
Hmm.
especially with the killing, like him, like he didn't kill, Sandman like in the film, like he got back, right? But
Hmm.
like him just like nonchalantly killing Sandman and then letting Eddie, die, you know, towards the end, what kind of like bothered me a little bit, and like how he, you know, like killed the burglar, the supposed burglar, right, in his first film, and
Yep.
like like that really bothered me. And I think one of the things that was great about this movie, it kind of fixed some things that I didn't like from McGuire and like made
Hmm.
it better, I think.
Yeah, it addressed that, and he made sure that Tom Holland didn't make the same mistakes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, and so for Holland is number two. I think Holland is great. He's definitely the spinning image of Spider-Man from the comics. I think he's the best costume Spider-Man. Like his eyes
Mm.
move, that was cool. I don't
Yeah.
like we always constantly change his costume, but I
I don't know. I like that he has all the different suits.
I liked it too, but I just wish they were more creative with the designs,
Yeah.
the coloring, like all that,
Yeah.
like especially with the Iron Spiders. I'm saying, like I didn't have a problem. I did not have a problem with the black suit, like the Noir suit. I like that. I love the red and black suit, like the Steve
Mhm.
Difficult, Alex Ross kind of combination. I love that suit. But yeah, but I just want consistent, like just I prefer just having one suit throughout the series. But whatever, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I like all the goofy Spider-Man like suits that there are in the comics.
Yeah.
Like I get wanting like consistency throughout the movies, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I do like how goofy they get.
Yeah.
Maybe in the next trilogy, we'll just get him in his standard
Yes.
Spider-Man outfit.
Yeah. And it also helped, like, of course, towards the end, the mid credit scene with, who, Venom, and the
Hmm.
symbiote, and like it helps you kind of be not too jarring with the costume change when he does the black suit. Whenever
Hmm.
we're going to do that in the nearest future with Holland, but we'll see.
Yeah.
So at least we have like now multiple suits, and like when we get to the Venom thing, it doesn't bother me as much. But yeah, and and you mentioned like the start thing. That was the thing that hold back for me in terms of putting Holland as number one. Um,
Mhm.
I think Homecoming did a great job. Okay, uh, it was great that Homecoming addressed it well and handled the whole like start um like junior thing.
Mhm.
Like he was tested about that, but then we regressed it in Far From Home,
Yeah.
and I didn't like that. And then this movie, I like how we kind of like addressed it and showed that that Peter is his own man, and like the stuff with Tony is just like a progression of his personality and his growth as a hero, as a
Hmm.
superhero.
Yeah.
And so that was good. And like man, especially like how he defeats Doc Ock under the bridge. That was kind of cool.
Hmm.
And like that whole scene reminded me of like Stark. If Stark was there, like that's how he could have like handled that situation with a villain. And you're just seeing that with Spider-Man. And but it's still pure as the character. Um, but yeah. But yeah, and then his films, I guess I don't want to talk too much about rankings, but like I think I made like a ranking, like I started ranking some of these films, and I think I have Farm from Home as my six, and then Homecoming was at three, but then I push it to four because I think No Way Home is probably the best multiverse movie we're gonna get for now for a live action Spider-Man film.
Hmm.
And I think this does everything right in as a live action multiverse Spider-Man film. Um, it's above from Spider-Man 2 as number two. Sorry, and then number one, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Um, I put it there because I if you're a theatrical release film, I'm going to put you in the list. So Spider-Verse is number one still for me. So yeah, I really love No Way Home. I think it's the most ambitious Spider-Man film we have so far in the franchise, and like I think with all that, I think it was very impressive how the filmmaker, Jon Watts and his team handle all this multiverse stuff and all these characters from previous films. It was incredible, and I love how they respect it. Um, and I think the reason and if I take away Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse, it will be number two above Spider-Man 2 because this film handled a lot better compared to the other MCU films of like letting the scenes breathe out. Like spoilers, this is Spoilercast. The Ant the the Aunt May death was handled so well.
Hmm.
Like they didn't interrupt it with a joke or like it let it breathe and allow Tom Holland to like grieve for the person he really cared for, and like because sometimes that's been a problem with the MCU. They sometimes interrupt the drama with a joke. Here, this movie somehow did not have that with certain scenes, and like it really just like totally shocked me. And yeah, you're right. This movie had the most Spider-Man like themes and just like comic bookness
Hmm.
than the first two. I mean, the first two Holland films are Spider-Man films, but like most than those first two films, I would say. Let me say that, like how I iterate like that.
Yeah.
And I was very surprised. I was so happy when Aunt May say "great power" like in a different phrasing. Let me say that right now. Like she say it differently than Uncle Ben from the comics and the movies. Like "great
No,
power,"
it's
the same thing.
it's the way it's phrased in Amazing Fantasy 15. They've like retconned it to be with great power comes great responsibility, but it actually is um, with great power there must
Right.
also be great responsibility.
Okay.
So,
So yeah. Um. Oh man, it's been a while to see the movie and just remember what uh Marisa Tomei say, but like when that say that, I was so happy they say it, and it was
mhm.
like a big relief. And then afterwards, killing her off was like heartbreaking.
Whew, yeah.
Oh my god, I
Oh man.
never. Oh my god, that whole scene, I wasn't expecting that, and that even pushes Winnie the Full Green Goblin as like the best movie villain like we had. Oh my
Yeah.
god,
Oh, he was so good. He's
yeah,
terrifying.
yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. I mean, that was like I guess so yeah that's my review of this film. And best thing for this film for me was Doc Ock. I was so happy for Doc Ock. He was
Mm.
the same character from Spider-Man 2. I was so happy to see Alfred Molina back again for this role, like because Doc Ock is my favorite Spider-Man villain in the Spider-Man comics and films, and just towards the end when he got a chance to see his Spider-Man, Maguire, like his scene like that killed me. I got a little teary eyed him talking about like how he's doing, and he say I'm doing doing my best, and like oh my god, that killed me.
Mm.
Um, yeah, that was my best thing, and then I guess the worst thing about it, I guess it's not like the worst thing, but like it's kind of like a nitpick is the way we handled the spell. Like like a lot of people kind of well no we'll probably discuss that. I know you have maybe opinions about the spell. I guess my like uh worst thing is the Venom thing. Like I don't know why people make such a big deal with Venom joining the MCU, and it was like a minute. He was just in the MCU for 1 minute, and then he left, and then we have the Venom. Like
Yeah,
I
I
I I just don't understand that. I'm like I'm so happy we're done with that, and then let's move on. And what were you gonna say, Will?
yeah. I mean, I don't. I haven't like seen what people were saying about it, but
Okay.
um, I thought it was done the best way it could have been done. I thought they were gonna bring him in as like the sixth villain, and that's what was
Yes.
gonna make it the Sinister Six.
Yeah.
But I am very happy with him like coming in briefly and then dropping off the symbiote so we can actually have like
Proper
our
Venom.
own proper Venom in the MCU that isn't connected to those movies.
That's true. No, that's true. Um, but yeah. Um, I actually went to the bathroom because I I had to go to the bathroom very rarely, so I just
Mhm.
left from the mid credit scene. How was your fear response to that scene? Like, were there like, you know,
Oh, people were really happy about it.
oh really? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh man. Um, I still I don't like I don't know. I'm not fun with Tom Hardy's Venom, and just
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen the movies because they don't look good. Um,
you're
but
lucky.
yeah, but like I'm fine with him showing up in like a multiverse story, and I'm
Yeah.
definitely fine with him barely showing up and then dropping off the thing that'll actually be exciting, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. You mentioned him being like part of the Sinister Six.
mhm.
It couldn't make a lot of sense with that character. I
Yeah,
just
I know
seen
because he's not really like a
sorry, excuse me. Yeah, as a villain, and
mhm.
I think it could have been cool to see him as teaming up with the three Spider-Mans.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, I could see him like starting off fighting with the villains and then realizing that they're the villains
yeah,
and switching
and
sides.
just imagine the reaction of McGuire and like, whoa, Eddie, and oh my god, that'd be like that could have been that is like the miss opportunity for me. But anyway, but yeah, let's go around and with plot points of this film. Like, how do you think about the aftermath of Mysterio framing Peter Parker and like that whole thing? Because I guess like the worst thing was like the first half. Like it wasn't bad, but like I'm saying, like the first half was kind of slow, or like it was very shaky because it was like there were like I was surprised how quickly like somewhat solved the charges, but at the same time it did affect the story and the narrative where we
Yeah,
ran along with the film. But like what you thought about the whole first act of Spider-Man No Way Home?
yeah. I I I mean, we could have had like a whole movie just about him like dealing with the public backlash and like the trial, and I think that
Yes.
would have been really interesting. And like I agree with what you said about it. Like there's still consequences for him being outed that are felt throughout the entire movie because that's like the reason he has to do the spell with Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
But it did feel like the actual threat of him being accused of murder
Was
uh, got kind of like swept aside pretty quickly because Matt Murdock showed up and was just like, "Yep, took care of it. You're welcome." And then it was just like there were conspiracy theorists who believed that he killed Mysterio, which was I loved. I Another
yes,
highlight of the movie. J. Jonah Jameson as an Alex Jones type,
yeah,
perfect. Like
yeah,
I know that's what they did in the PS4 game, and I thought it was perfect there too.
mhm,
So I was just excited to see more of that.
yeah. I think that's the best like modern interpretation for
J. Jonah
Jonah Jameson.
Jameson,
Yeah,
yeah, like no one's
yeah,
reading the New York Post anymore, so it doesn't
yeah,
really make sense for him to do that. But for him to
yeah,
be like a like conspiracy YouTuber slash podcaster is just exactly what that character would be nowadays. So it's
yeah.
perfect.
Yeah, no, I agreed. Yeah, and you mentioned Matt Daredevil. I was
Mhm.
when I saw Daredevil, I was like, oh my god! And
Yeah.
this is my best thing actually. I'm sorry, I totally forgot. The best thing about it was seeing Daredevil and the gag when the brick hit the glass in Pierce's apartment.
Hmm.
He grabbed it. It was the funniest moment to see all their reaction
Hmm.
especially Pierce's reaction. It was like, "Wow, you're very strong." It's like, "I'm a good lawyer."
Yeah,
And
I wish
oh
there
god,
was more payoff for it.
I know.
You know,
Well,
like I'm hoping he shows up if
yeah.
they make another Spider-Man movie. I want it to be a Spider-Man Daredevil team up.
Oh my god, that will make my day.
Against Kingpin would be perfect.
Yes, I want a Daredevil villain. Like, I want Kingpin to be a Spider-Man villain for a
Hmm.
film. Like, I got that with Spider-Verse, and
Yeah,
I mean, like, I know he's like a Daredevil villain. I mean,
he's
like,
both.
yeah, he's
Yeah,
both, and I want,
I would
you
say
know,
he's one of Spider-Man's like main villains.
yeah, exactly. Oh, and speaking of Daredevil, I didn't catch this until I was looking at, like Easter eggs and references and all that, or trivia. It was cool to see Daredevil in that scene with
Hmm.
Jon Favreau. If you didn't know that he also played
Hmm.
Foggy in the Ben Affleck film, and
Yeah.
yeah, and oh my god, and I like how you say like we need to get a good lawyer because he was getting under investigation. Um, One thing, keeping with the first act discussion,
Hmm.
I want to get your opinion on this. Was something that I was kind of shocked. It was kind of cool to pay this off from Homecoming,
Hmm.
the Department of Damage Control.
Hmm.
Um, is this what they are in the comics? Like, I thought they were like a scavenging company, but with connection. Like, they were like scavenger company, but with government ties. Like,
Yeah, it's more like they were in Homecoming, where like they're the ones that clean up after the big uh like world-ending events. They're like cleaning up the skyscrapers that got knocked over.
okay,
So it is weird that they were investigating Mysterio's murder.
yeah, that was the thing. Where I was like, I like it. We brought back damage control, but like I was weirded out. Like, wait,
Yeah, it does not feel like it's within their
yeah,
like yeah.
yeah, I just needed your opinion because like or like just thoughts on that because like it was weird when the first time I saw it, and then the we'll see. We don't know much about this version of damage control in this universe yet. Hoping we can see it more. Um,
Hmm.
and speaking of Matt, like we having the She-Hulk show coming next year, right?
Hmm.
That's the logical place we're going to probably see Matt again.
Could be.
Um, yeah, I think so because Jennifer Walters is also a lawyer, and I think that's where we'll probably see him again for like an episode or maybe more, maybe. Let's hope. Uh,
Hmm.
just like Elena and Hawkeye.
Yeah.
um, okay, and then after Matt mentioned they dropped the charges. Um, for Parker. They go to Happy's apartment.
Hmm.
Um, a very funny scene, of course, when he's like supposedly sleeping, but he's actually awake and hearing Parker's conversation with MJ.
Hmm.
Um, and then we get to the school, and it was cool to see Betty Grant again.
Betty Brant, yeah.
Yeah. This is like her smallest role since Homecoming. She was very like everywhere in that the Far From Home.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. But I forgot the. It was kind of funny. I forgot the Betty and Ned Leeds got married in the comic books. I
Yeah.
totally, I don't know. Like I didn't like understand why they did that in Far From Home. Now I like.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
They're married in the
Yeah,
comics.
and then Nedley's supposedly be Hobgoblin and
Hmm.
all that, whatever. Uh, and then we meet the other three like teacher faculties we saw from from the first two. The what's it, gym coach and the science teacher from the first two, and then the other guy from We Introduced and Far From Home. I love their scene.
Hmm.
They were consistent. I love the conspiracy, the
Yeah.
gym.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh god. That whole scene was cracking me up. Um, and I guess it's a good way to just kind of discuss MJ and Ned's role in this film.
Hmm.
I think this is maybe my favorite performance from Zendaya. I think MJ was really
Yeah.
great in this film,
Hmm.
and Ned's he's really awesome. I think he has the best moments from this movie for me. Um, his grandma, right? Or
Yeah, his grandma.
yeah, best moment. This best moment. Her reaction and everything is just funny. Um, but yeah. What you thought about those two characters in this film, and just kind of like their like conclusions in this film as well, and
Yeah.
like where we're gonna head them, whatever we'll see them again.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I agree that Zendaya's performance was incredible in this movie.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, like her chemistry with Tom Holland has been great in all of the movies, but
yeah,
especially here, they were very believable as a
yeah,
couple. Um,
yeah.
yeah, as far as like their ending, oh man, that was heartbreaking.
Yes. Oh,
They're the only two people that Peter had left, and then he figures out that they're better off without him. Like they're happy without him. They're
yeah.
safer without him.
Oh, that
Oh
hit me.
man,
It was sad to see.
heartbreaking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when Holland, or I say Parker and Ned's did their like special handshake like
Hmm.
bro thing that we
Yeah.
all do sometimes.
Hmm.
Oh, that killed me, and I was so sad, and that was probably Jacob's the actor Jacob's best performance in this whole series. It's just like,
Hmm.
and I love uh, those two as like a like a friendship we've
Yeah,
seen
they're
so far.
really good, like best friend portrayal. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it was really sad to just to see that go, and we're ever going to see them again, in the nearest future,
Yeah.
because we don't know. I mean, we're probably going to get maybe other comic book characters, like Gwen or whatever, or Harry, all that.
Hmm.
But yeah, just totally sad and all that. And then of course, the running through line to get to the spell, of course, was they were doing the MIT applications, right? That
Hmm.
they were trying to, and unfortunately they got rejected earlier because of the connection with Peter and all that. And so this is where Parker goes to Strange, and then that's where this is where I think the movie gets stronger, is when we do the spell, and then we get to Doc Ock is where the film gets really like it's nonstop and just being the best. Um, um, Overall thoughts of Doctor Strange in this film. I I think this is my favorite like current batch performance for Strange after Infinity War. I think.
Mm.
Um, And just and I was concerned about his foolishness, but then it was just the trailers made it um
Yeah,
different, and then here it
yeah,
made more sense. I appreciate that. So it was just another Marvel trick they did, and it just like was just for the trailers, and
yeah.
then
No,
and I wanted to talk to you the big reveal that happened in this movie that I was like kind of shocked, and I was like, oh, okay. Um, with Doctor Strange, um, that
yeah.
yeah, you know
Okay,
what I'm talking about.
yeah,
Him,
yeah.
um,
Wong.
yeah, with Wanda, I was like, oh, okay, but then it makes sense after I was like,
Yeah,
oh, no, that makes sense. But what's your thoughts on Doctor Strange in this film?
I agree that I was worried from the trailers that his characterization was going to be kind of off.
Yeah,
And he continues to be like very relaxed about like doing magic that he shouldn't be doing, which is
yeah,
weird. But I'm okay with it. As long as it's been consistent the whole time, then it's
yeah,
fine. Um, it just doesn't feel like the Doctor Strange that I know, but it does feel like this iteration of Strange, so that's okay.
yeah.
But um, I really liked him. I really liked the relationship that he had with Peter and how he talked to
Mm,
him like he was a colleague instead of like a kid,
kid,
you know?
yes.
Um, and how you could tell that he like really cared about him, even if he was like continually getting frustrated throughout the movie,
For the movie, yes.
because Peter Parker was being dumb.
Being dumb, yeah. Or
Um,
just being reckless.
yeah,
That's the word I was gonna say.
man, I love that he's reckless throughout the movie, and then there's like really, really bad consequences for his recklessness in a way that like there hadn't been previously. And I really like that they actually like went through with that in a way that almost feels cruel. Like,
Yeah,
oh man, poor Peter. I feel so
yeah.
bad. But like it was nice to have like actual consequences for him doing the
Well,
thing that he was repeatedly warned against doing.
but it was actually for the right reason, and like he got to
Yeah.
pay for it because that was the
Yeah, like he
problem.
he learned his lesson, but he still had
Yeah,
to like accept the consequences and like deal with them.
yeah, that was a problem in like it was a little bit in Homecoming in the way of Vulture. Like he was like a like I'm just like how this movie did like the Spider-Man thing so well, where in the first two films it was a little jarring how like in Homecoming he let Vulture get arrested, where he was trying to do like do ends meets with his family and like trying to provide, right?
Hmm.
Where he's with this rich person, and then like it was weird, and then Far From Home it was like a lot weirder, like he should understand what Beck was trying to do, and like what Stark did. Like I feel like we never addressed Stark's ambiguity in the series at
Hmm.
all, and like it's always like slough her away. And the thing I want to bring up, this is the most better um integrated MCU character for a Spider-Man film compared
Yes.
to the first two films. That's another thing
Yes.
I was surprised by that. I was very concerned
Absolutely.
to do that, and
It
it
felt
worked.
exactly like a comic book crossover.
Yes, yeah, and I was so happy. And then I was thinking about it. I was like, oh no, because Steven has experience with Parker before compared to other MCU characters. Like it was weird from Far From Home with Nick Fury because they didn't meet before, and it
Right.
was not the real Nick Fury, of course, with the scroll thing and whatever. And obviously Tony was in Homecoming, and it was fine there because he met already in Civil War, right?
Hmm.
Here it was really great, but it was a cool just like was a juxtaposition between him and Stark, what we saw in Infinity War, and I
Hmm.
liked that. It was so great, and I think Cumberbatch and Holland had great chemistry with each other, and
Yes, they did.
yeah, yeah, and towards the end of the film, I love um the gag with not calling me sir, and
Yeah.
yes, and him saying it again, but like just call me sir, and that hit. It
Yeah.
was. Oh
He
my
was like,
god.
oh, he thinks you're a dumb kid again.
Yes.
You messed up, Peter.
Yes, you messed up. Oh my god, yeah. Oh god. Strange was great. This
Mhm.
is probably my favorite superhero, my favorite MCU character being in a someone else film
Mhm.
after like Black Widow and Winter Soldier and
Yeah.
um Civil War with the other characters like Black Panther. I guess that's the best one. So
Mhm.
yeah, this one was very good, and it was straight out of the comic book, which was great.
Yeah.
Um, and then we did kind of touch it a little bit was one, and then the confirmation that one is the Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah.
Now, mm, I'm fine with this because of the direction we're going with Strange here, and especially with Doctor Strange into the multiverse of madness.
Mhm.
Um, what do you feel about this? Like giving to it to one. I'm happy that one is still great. I still like him, and I'm happy he is the Sorcerer. But like, are you
Yeah.
fine that Strange is not?
I
Because
mean, it like I want him to be because that's like who he is in the comics, but it just makes so much sense for it to be Wong in the MCU
okay,
that I'm absolutely fine with it. Because like he's been around longer than Strange.
yes, that's
He
true.
was around during the blip, and I don't know, just yeah, I think it just makes so much sense for it to be him instead of Doctor Strange. And this Doctor Strange, like you said, is like more reckless
Than the comic
uh
book one.
than the comic books. It's like
Yeah,
more willing to do the dumb thing. So
yeah.
it just makes sense for Wong to be in charge.
No,
And I like that it's not like Wong like tries to like force his authority onto Doctor Strange. Like he's just like, yeah, do whatever you want. I know that you're like powerful and we're like they're best friends. So it's not like there's not like a
yeah.
weird power dynamic. Yeah,
No,
it's
not yet.
good. I don't know. I
Okay.
I think it's the right choice. And I was surprised by it, but when they said it, I was like, no, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And it makes sense with the post credit scene and just his involvement in Shang-Chi. Like
Mm,
why he was with Carol and Bruce in the mid credit
yes.
scene.
Yeah.
So it did line up because that was another thing I was like wondering how we were gonna connect that with that film. And it wasn't him going to the the ring with the abomination. It was this that he's actually a higher up hero
Hmm.
in the hero community, and like he's like part of the Avengers. So
Yeah.
that was cool. Yeah. And it was I have no problem with that. And yeah, and it's definitely consistent with Strange so far characteristic in these films. Like he was
Hmm.
reckless in Infinity War. Like he wanted to keep the time stone, and then he didn't tell no one about the end game, and so like it fit his like personality and all that. And speaking of the joke, I like the joke when they were talking about the spell, and he told one, "You remember this thing?" And like, no, and exactly,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
that was my favorite moment from Strange. So, um, yeah, I love Doctor Strange. He's one of my favorite characters in this series. And then we do the spell, of course. As always, we mention how reckless Spider-Man is in this film, and I this is the part that killed me, and this is where I started to like the film. And when Strange was explaining that you can bring your case to your or to a Mister, and then Parker didn't realize he couldn't do that, and then Strange does the very like, oh my god, like
Yeah.
wait, you didn't thought of that, and you didn't know like it's like before you asked me to do this spell, and
Uh,
like one of the best gags they done, and it just oh my god, hit it.
yeah. And just like really,
Oh my god,
I don't know. It felt really like realistic for a
yes,
teenager to like be like, oh no, I didn't get the thing. Like the world is ending. I have to do the most drastic thing possible. Meanwhile, there's like a reasonable real world like solution that they just didn't think of because they don't know anything. They don't know any
Yes.
better.
Yeah. Oh my God. That
Perfect. Oh man.
Yes. Oh my God. That was the best moment. I never saw that in a movie before. And like, oh my God, it's just it was, and the door shot from the Sartorium was funny.
Yep.
And oh God, that was perfect to end that scene. Oh my God. Yeah, and then we get, the scene of, you know Parker calling Thompson. Flash Thompson's here. A small role, compared to his role in the first two Holland films. By the way, a quick note: funny that his book Flashpoint, it is here, and like, I don't know, that was like a nod or like a gist to DC's Flashpoint Flash storyline. Just want to throw that out there. Um, and
Um,
what you're saying? Well,
I mean, it could be. It could also just be like flashpoint is a common phrase for like
yeah, yeah.
something that like starts something
Starts
else, and it's
starts
about
something
Flash. So
Flash. Yeah. I'm just bringing it up there because it was kind of funny. It's here, it's Flashpoint, and we're getting a Flash movie that's also multiverse and all that.
mhm.
But anyway, I just want to get that shout out and whatever. But yeah, so he talked to Flash and he talked about how, and he was. It was funny. When all of them got the rejection letters,
Mhm.
Flash just came in and he of course he got accepted, and of course that was a funny scene. Uh, and then here, Parker has to make a deal with Flash, and he say, "Look, I will swing you around for like 1 week," and I don't know what was the deal that like he accepted. What was it? Oh my God, that was funny. Or for two,
uh,
or
he would
well,
swing him to school for a month,
after
right?
that, he would say, I will call you my best friend." That's
Right.
where he will accept that, and so that's how a great conversation between him and Flash, and so
Hmm.
he jumps, like he swings around to find the a mystery who's driving to the airport to leave, right? And then this is a cool nod, is the suit he was wearing is kind of similar to Maguire's suit from Spider-Man 3,
Hmm.
when he was going to the Broadway and then he goes to Aunt May, like it was there, and then his tie gets cut out, similar
Hmm.
to that. Very cool nod to Spider-Man 3. So this scene, of course, now we get into the villains. Now we get introduced to Doctor Octopus, and I just hearing his theme alone made me think, oh my God, we're getting something special here. And that whole bridge thing was one of the best I've seen uh, in a while in the superhero film. One of the best like superhero bridge scenes I think
Hmm.
ever. And man, I love Alfred Molina's Doc Ock, and it was so great to see it. And his age um technology in this film with Doc Ock is seamless. It's incredible.
Hmm.
What do you think about Doc Ock in this film and like how they handled this character? I think they near perfectly made the character consistent from Spider-Man 2.
Yeah. I, I, it felt like the same character. A problem that I had with like a lot of the Maguire movies
Mhm.
was that they made the villains crazy. Like they made all of them have some kind
Yes.
of
Yeah.
yeah. And I really like that they cured Doc Ock of that in this one.
Yes.
Um, yeah, I mean, this movie did so much to fix all of the problems that it had with all of the Spider-Man movies.
And the web
Um,
films as well. I mean,
yeah, no,
mostly
I
for
like
Electro.
literally all
Okay.
7 of the Spider-Man movies. Um, I like this movie retroactively improved them, um,
Yeah.
which is so difficult to do, and it's so impressive that they did it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I liked Doc Ock, um, and I really liked that they kept him as like a sympathetic character, um,
Yes.
and that when he was at the Statue of Liberty, it wasn't he wasn't really there to fight. the Spider-Man.
He was there to
Um,
help them.
right, and I liked his reunion with Maguire.
Yes. Oh my god, I love
Yeah.
that. Oh my god, it's oh my god, he's really great, and I love the he has the classic trench coat and the sweater like it's from
Hmm.
the comics. Um, yeah, everything about it was great, and the nanotech was kind of cool to see in the arms, and it looked pretty
Hmm.
cool.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah, and that was great. That whole scene was amazing. Just his introduction was great, and the mechanical arms are like fully CGI, and they
Hmm.
look still impressive with
Yeah.
that. Compared to Spider-Man 2, where it was like both CGI and puppeteer.
Hmm.
So I really appreciate that, and like they didn't lose a lot of the detail I like about those arms from Spider-Man 2.
Hmm.
Yeah. And then before Spider-Man and Doc Ock were transferred into the bottom of the Sanctum Sanctorum, um, where Strange is going to prison all the multiverse villains.
Hmm.
We see quickly the Green Goblin, and my audience like went silent. Speaking of audience reaction, we saw they were like, "Oh no!" and the bomb dropped down and it exploded like completely huge Michael Bay explosion, and then you hear him laughing, and he almost caught Spider-Man to die, and then of course last minute Strange pull him out. Oh my god! Uh, and seeing Green Goblin again here was I don't mind his costume, but it was so great and funny that they fixed the things that was problematic with Green Goblin. Like they
Hmm.
got rid of the mask. That was cool. Uh, I like how the crack of the mask like was similar to Spider-Man's suit handling
Hmm.
in the garbage from Spider-Man 2 and the
Yeah.
story. Yeah, like great. No more Spider-Man no more. Willem Dafoe killed it. He
Hmm.
like totally like like just like Heath Ledger as the Joker, like he sizzled his role. He's the best actor playing Green Goblin, and he's like the best villain for
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
It'd be so hard to find someone else to be Green Goblin.
I know, and again, Sony messed that up with the Amazing. Like Chris Cooper could have been a good Grey Goblin. Like if we ever have a chance for that, but whatever. It's, here and there.
I Yeah. I
Go ahead.
really want more Norman Osborn.
Yeah,
Um, I want him to be like a slow burn villain. Like when they made the original Spider-Man movie, they got Green Goblin out of the way like first in the first movie, and then he was
yeah,
dead, and you couldn't use him again. I really want him to be like a character that is constantly in the background. Like
yeah,
he's like constantly present, and then eventually he becomes the Green Goblin, and it's like a very like personal fight. Um,
yeah.
I think that would be good. They can't really do that now because I don't think Peter's gonna get close to a Norman Osborn.
No, I mean,
um,
I you can still do that with Harry, but that's another pickle that's like kind of difficult. It's like you need Harry, like you need. Well, I mean, you could easily do the spectacular one, but like a version of Green Goblin where like Harry was first the Green Goblin, then you could do Norman.
mm,
Yeah, the whole Goblin thing is just so messy. It's like the first trilogy did it like they did properly what they do like in the comics. Okay, we'll do first, yeah, Norman, and then we'll build up Harry, which it ended up being not good. Of course, in Spider-Man 3, right?
mhm.
And then, of course, they rushed it again. Well, literally, they rushed it in Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 2, and it was not good. And then here, I, I think I cannot see maybe a Norman in this MCU. Well, now with Stark gone, maybe. Um, but we'll see if whenever they get to that point, with Green
Mhm.
Goblin. I'm just waiting for Hobgoblin to be here. That's my character I want to see the most. But yeah, um, yeah, and just do more proper Harry and Pierce relationship I like from the comics and the TV shows.
Mhm.
That's not something that we don't we we kind of did in Ned Leeds, and I hope we do something with Ned Leeds in the future and make him be like the proper Hobgoblin. I know Robert Kingsley is the main Hobgoblin, but like you can do something with Ned with the whole Hobgoblin thing, but we'll see. But
We might. I don't know. I have a feeling we aren't gonna see Ned and MJ again. At least not
yeah,
for a while.
yeah, and it's tough because in the first like Spider-Man Holland films, like the first two, it's like they were reinventing supporting characters,
Hmm.
and it's tough for me where they're gonna go with that. And then the villains, it's like who else they can adapt, you know, besides the ones they're producing solo films, you know, with Sony,
Hmm.
um, which is difficult. But anyway, Willem Dafoe is great. I was so happy they put the cloak, like the hood, that was
Hmm.
like in the comics. That was a big deal. I love that. And oh my god, I don't know how your audience react to. I love how the Spire Sense was sensing the danger of the goblin.
Yeah, that was a
Yeah,
great scene.
yeah, and oh my god, and this is where I love the fullest actor. He's amazing, and this is probably his best performance he has ever done. It just his turn and his smile is like, oh my god, so good. Like, oh my god, it was like it got me back to like the 2000s again. It's just seeing the first film again, but in this new film, and it's, oh my god, and it's incredible, and how he tricked the villains into just like it's incredible. Yeah, Defoe was great, and I can't believe it. He did his own stunts. I do want to bring that up. Like he's 66. I don't even know his age right now.
Yeah.
Well, I can't believe he accepted this role if he do his own stunts, and you can see that. And like every hit felt real,
Hmm.
and like it wasn't like the stunt devil or CGI thing. It was like, oh my god, you felt those punches with like Holland and then Defoe. I felt like, man, I don't know, like how you can top this, and how are we gonna reintroduce Norman in this MCU? Like,
Yeah. I mean, they might not. They said
no,
Oscorp doesn't exist in
yeah,
this movie.
yeah,
Um,
ugh,
and Spider-Man has so many villains that they can do other things.
yeah, that's true. And they could do like Spider-Verse, like take some ideas from the Spider-Verse and put it here. I can see a new version of Doc Doc here. Like you can do Olivia Octavius and
Hmm.
Holland's version, and not like like disrupt or like disgrace like or like not disrespect millennials version of Doc Ock from Spider-Man 2 and this film, right?
Hmm.
Like you can do a different version. I can see that happening than Green Goblin or Norman, but we'll see. Yeah. Um. So you know, and then afterwards, you know, he runs away to feats. And I guess we get to Electro. What's your thoughts on Electro here? I think it's better than Amazing Spider-Man 2, obviously. Um,
Yeah.
I love they brought back his theme for that 1 second, and like you knew Electro was there.
Hmm.
Oh my god. What do you thought about Electro in this film?
Yeah. I mean, he was really disappointing in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Um,
Yeah,
and I thought they just completely knocked it out of the park with how they reinvented him for this movie.
yeah. Oh man, I'm so happy Jamie Foxx came back.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was a missed opportunity, or it was like they really dropped the ball having him in Amazing Spider-Man 2. So I'm glad that he got to actually play Electro in like a way that was exciting and
yes,
like good. Yeah.
yeah. His chemistry with the actors were very good. I like
Hmm.
his conversation with Sandman.
Hmm.
That was funny how they got their powers.
Hmm.
Yeah, be careful with the falls or something like that. Um, yeah. Okay. I was looking at what May say to Parky say with great power there must always come great responsibility. That's what she say in that scene when
Yeah.
she died. Um, uh, yeah. So just let you know. um, but yeah. Yeah. So yeah, Electro was very good. What's your opinion of Sandman and Lizard? I think those two were the most underdeveloped characters, and
Yeah,
I Sandman was okay because I was but Lizard was way overwhelming. I just I I don't know how who's your personal villain in the Spider-Man Rose category. Will I'm kind of curious to hear. Um,
like what? Who's my favorite?
yeah, like number one and
Oh
then
man. I mean, I really like the lizard.
okay.
Um, I don't know if he's my favorite though. I think it's just fun to have a giant lizard for him to punch. Um, Doc Ock's like probably the most interesting as like a character, and then I think
Okay,
the lizard's just like a fun
villain to
villain.
fight. Okay.
Yeah.
Um. Well, if you guys or you will seen my top 10 favorite superhero villains, the only Spider-Man villain I had was Doc Ock. Doc Ock is my number
Mhm.
one Spider-Man
Yeah.
villain, and I Lizard, he's like the most sympathetic villain in the comic books, and like
Hmm.
he's a character that is like similar to Doc Ock, and somehow he's mishandled in these first two light action films, this and Amazing Spider-Man. I don't get that, and I don't get why we don't give him the white coat and like yeah, just the white coat. So it'd be kind
Yeah.
of silly to have a lizard wearing purple pants, but you know.
Well, they could have done
So
it.
yeah, they could have done it. Like you could have done something that was interesting. Um, I don't know. Like maybe I kind of wish they did more fun with the multiverse connection. Like okay, have some from the movies, but then maybe have two that was outside of that, right?
Hmm.
It could have been beneficial for like Sandman and Lizard because I felt like those two felt underdeveloped, and it was weird to like see Sandman and CGI whole full time. One thing I do need to mention because this was around COVID, it's still impressive that they got around the situation that was going on that like
Hmm.
whole year, and it's you could see some shots that it's clearly like a guy in this screenshot like separate from the others and not like together in one room.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's impressive this film pulled that off. Um, but yeah, the villains were all good. Who else we missing in the villain lineup? Uh,
I
that's
think we've talked about all of them now.
yeah,
All five.
um, yeah. So yeah, so that we mentioned, I mentioned Aunt May, and the big one I think a lot of people talk about is the definite May. I wasn't expecting that. We
No.
we we mentioned a little bit, and like I don't know what's your opinion on this version Aunt May, but I thought she was okay. She was like the hot Aunt May, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um.
Um,
Yeah. Go ahead. Um.
I mean, I liked her. It was like weird for her to not be super old, but um, I still like. I liked her. I liked her relationship with Peter. Um,
Yes. Um.
and yeah, no, it was devastating when she died.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh man. I think this is Marisa Tomei's best performance as Aunt May out of really her
oh
appearance in
yeah,
the series. I
yeah.
think. Um. Like she killed it in this film, and I like um this part is another one that like just like the strange like sorcerer supreme tile and all this. What do you think? I don't know if they confirmed this, but like it kind of did. But I don't know, like I need to hear your opinion and your thoughts, Will,
Mhm.
about is Aunt May really like the Uncle Ben of this universe? And like Ben, like I know like the previous films they mentioned it, but like do you think this is a confirmation like that she was just like the actual Uncle Ben that's all along, and then we didn't have Uncle Ben in this universe? Like
Well,
I
we there might have been an Uncle Ben,
okay.
but I think the implication of this movie is that for this version of Peter Parker, Aunt May is fulfilling the Uncle Ben role
Okay.
of
Okay.
like the loved one who uh, dies, but in doing so teaches him the lesson of like
Responsibility.
needing to take responsibility.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, if they were doing it, I think they did it pretty well. I don't know, somehow they pull it off. I was bothered by from the first two Holland films how much we were referencing him, right? Uncle Ben,
Mhm.
but we're
Yeah.
needing like it really bothered me, especially from home. I know it's a little nitpicky, but I did like how he had a suitcase from Uncle Ben, and then
Mhm.
we made that as a joke, like, oh, you lose your suitcase all the time, and like I felt really bothered by that. Um, but then here it kind of makes sense, especially how you know we talk about the other Spider-Mans, right? And then how they talk about their Uncle Bens and stuff like that. So that didn't it kind of helped me like forgive the things they did with the first two Holland films and
Mhm.
their handle of Uncle Ben. So yeah. But yeah. Yeah, it was really sad, and Happy's reaction was also sad.
Mhm.
Jon Favreau as Happy Hogan is an amazing character, and I think this is his best performance since. I mean, my first Iron Man film.
Mhm.
Oh God, he's been here a while.
Yeah.
MCU. So so but yeah. Anyway. Um but yeah, what you thought about uh May in this film and what she was doing? I think it was much better than the first two Holland films.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think she was really good here. I thought showing her as the like moral compass for Peter Parker was really nice. And how she was the one really driving him to save the villains and to take responsibility for everything going on. Um, yeah, I thought it was really well done.
Yeah. And it'll be fascinating to follow up this from the next Spider-Man film.
Hmm.
So this is good, and I think like this is where it felt like a Spider-Man film. Because we haven't had like a proper someone die in a Spider-Man film besides Gwen.
Yeah,
You know,
Gwen, but then we didn't get any like aftermath or consequences to that until this movie. So
yeah, yeah, exactly. But yes. Okay, so you want to get into the Spider-Man in this film?
yeah, I think that's
Yeah, that's
really
the
all that's left. So
yeah. Besides the ending and then
yeah,
yeah, the Doctor Strange trailer.
yeah.
We haven't talked about. But yes, so we of course we got Andrew and Toby back, and how was your reaction and the audience reaction of Andrew?
Oh, I
Um,
mean, everyone went crazy when he showed up,
yeah, I saw his
and I
eyes.
personally, I like he's my second favorite. Um, but I just really have a soft spot for him.
Yes, I know.
Um, so yeah, no, I was so excited. Uh, yeah,
Oh my God.
but yeah, everyone cheered when he showed up.
I,
Um,
I mean, when like when Ned does the portal thing and he's like, "Bring me Pierre." It was a funny scene, like what he was
mhm.
doing, and then when you saw this tall, skinny guy, I was like, oh, "Okay." And then the thing you knew it was Andrew is the eyes, the Spider Man.
Yeah.
Oh my! I was like, "Oh no, this is Andrew!" And oh my God, it was so great, and the whole gag of MJ throwing the bread at him was my favorite scene in the whole movie. And oh my God.
Uh-huh.
Oh my God. It was so hilarious. And Andrew felt like his character from the first two. And like
Hmm.
it was impressive. He was my favorite character out of the bunch.
I
J-
yeah, his performance was so good, and like the way he delivered all of his lines, and just like the humor that they gave him felt very consistent with his two movies.
Yeah,
And I think that was the best part of his Spider-Man characterization, was just like how good he was as Spider-Man. So
yeah,
yeah, he
yeah,
was great. I loved seeing him again.
yeah, yeah, and just and obviously people have been talking about like the payoff of Gwen, like him saving
Hmm.
MJ,
Yeah. Oh
like
man, my theater cheered for that too.
yeah, oh my God, yeah, it was a great moment and it's just a satisfying conclusion to his character. Hopefully, um, yeah, it was really wonderful. Yeah, yeah. I guess my favorite line from him was, yeah, I fought a rhino mech suit person. The
Hmm.
whole three Spider-Man talking about who they face is so funny.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah. And then afterwards we get Toby, um,
Hmm.
and he definitely played the pure B Parker role. Like
Hmm.
he was the more seasonal Spider-Man, the
Yeah,
mentor.
he was the adult.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and surprisingly, I still like him. He wasn't phoning in his performance. I think he did a really good job.
Hmm.
That was the shock I had was Peter, too, right?
Hmm.
It was he really committed the role and like he felt his version of Spider-Man and it was
Hmm.
great.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it was a really wonderful see of just seeing those two again.
Hmm.
And this is the scene where I think it's one of my favorite scenes from my favorite movie of this is them talking about Uncle Ben and
Hmm.
like he was giving up and he was going to press the button of the box and and then they try to stop him and like no, what you're doing is right, we need to help these villains, and this is
Hmm.
where it really redeemed both franchise and their like mean spirited killing of the villains, like
Hmm.
particularly the Amazing, and then not so much of Doc Ock, but like just like like it could have been a way to save him in a
Hmm.
better way, than letting him sacrifice his life to from the nuclear engine thing he was doing in Spider-Man 2.
Hmm.
Favorite moments from those two guys. I mentioned mines already, so that's the
Yeah.
bad thing.
My favorite was when our Peter is like talking about the Avengers.
Yes.
He's like, yeah, yeah, like I don't mean to brag, but I joined the Avengers, and then Tobey Maguire is like,
He's like,
oh, the Avengers, and he's like really excited, and then
say
he's like, what
Ben.
is that? And
Yes.
then
Oh my God,
Garfield is like, oh my God, are you in a band?
Ben.
It
And it's
was
like, no, 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 this is a team. Yeah, just the seeing their reaction,
Yeah,
like,
it's like
they're
they
the
were
only
so
heroes.
genuinely excited for him, even though they had no idea what it meant.
Yes. Oh my God, that was so funny. Oh my God, that was like the out loud laugh jokes that
Mhm.
people responded so well. Oh my God, yeah. Oh my God, yeah. And speaking of the falling of MJ, I love the cloak of levitation saved Ned, and like he
Mhm.
say thank you, Mister. Was it Cape? Uh,
Yep.
that one was funny. Oh my God.
Oh, I
Uh,
liked when Garfield's talking to Electro after he gets cured, and
yes,
Electro's like, "Oh man, I really thought you'd be black," and
black.
then Garfield like says like, "Oh man, I'm sorry," and he feels like
He
it feels
disappointed
like
his
he's
dreams.
genuinely sorry that he's not black.
Yes,
It's
and
really funny.
yeah, and a cool knock for Miles. Like
Yeah.
you know, but yeah, it's totally true. Yeah. Oh my God, like one of the most funny scenes from Jamie
Yeah.
Foxx. Oh my God.
Yeah, and just Garfield's delivery of that line was
Yeah.
just perfect.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I that was the most impressive thing. Telling the two returning actors and this
Mhm.
film really impressed me. I think Marvel
Yeah.
Studios did such a good job of that.
Yeah. And I'm glad they had actual like roles in the film and it wasn't just like they popped in for a second, you know?
Yes. That's true.
Like I like with the rumors of them being in it, I thought they were just gonna show up for like the final fight and then have like two lines and bounce back to their universe. But I liked they
Yeah.
actually had like roles for the third act of the film, and they had um like character arcs.
Yeah. Yeah, I was worried that too, like a Star Wars, like Force Awakens, or like
Hmm.
Rise of Skywalker kind of scenario, and like what other franchise that did that and it was horrible. And like, no, I think they did a good job here because they were important to pull out, Holland Spider-Man
Hmm.
out of the
Yeah,
darkness that he was going through, and like
yeah.
they were necessary to the story.
Hmm.
And so that was very important, and I think that was the most impressive thing, is that they were very important for the push of Spider-Man Holland to be out of the darkness and actually be Spider-Man.
Hmm.
And it shows, especially towards the end when he got his new costume, and like how they really influenced him as Spider-Man now.
Hmm.
So that was very good. Um, yeah, so after the battle, and then of course Green Goblin re-enters the scene, and then he has a pumpkin bomb hit and like inside the box that hold the spell contained that
Hmm.
Strange did earlier, and then it cracked open the multiverse. And I was gonna ask you, did you notice some of the villains that were coming in?
I
Um,
saw Craven and Rhino for sure.
yes, I no one hasn't mentioned this, but Scorpion was also there as well.
Okay.
Yeah, that was cool too. Um, but yeah, that was neat seeing the classic
Hmm.
Rano costume.
Yeah.
When I saw that, I was like, "Oh my god, Rano's there!" Oh my god, that made me happy. Yeah, and we mentioned the goodbyes. It was very heartwarming and like um sad at the same time. But the battle between Goblin and Spider-Man, uh,
Oh man, yeah.
oh my god, so powerful, and just Holland just kick it out the park in his performance
Yeah.
there. Um,
Um, yeah. Just another great line from Garfield was like right as they were getting sent back to their universe. He's like propping up Maguire and he's like, "You're in a lot of pain, aren't you?"
yes, I know that like
Yeah.
kills me. He's like, "Yep, yes,
Yep.
I am." Oh my god,
Yeah.
yes,
But yeah, that goblin fight was really intense. And I really liked that Maguire was there to step in and stop Holland from doing something that he would regret.
yeah, I know. Yeah, it was good. It was Maguire stopping him,
Hmm.
and it was funny to see his version of Goblin stabbed him, and I like the joke he say, "Oh yeah, no worries, I've been stabbed multiple times," so that was funny. Um, so and then after all of them like came like went back to their like um universe, right?
Hmm.
Holland Spider-Man went back to see you know Ned and uh, MJ.
Hmm.
And another thing I want to mention is, did you notice they named Michelle Jones and they add in Watson? Did you saw
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. Um, it's like a hyphenated last name.
Okay, did it
Yeah.
bother you? Because it did kind of for me. It's like, come on, we went this before. She's Michelle Jones, and I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, we already knew that she was supposed to be MJ.
Okay, all right,
So I was fine with it.
okay, because I was like, really? All right. Well, it, it did add the multiverse thing as well. Like,
Hmm.
like we were in a different universe for Spider-Man, and it justifies some of the changes we saw in the early Holland films, right? And it
Hmm.
was like, okay, 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 this makes sense. So yeah, that happens. By the way, Spider-Man just like trying to like he was practicing to tell Ned and MJ that who he is, and
Hmm.
that whole scene was just so heartbreaking. Just not
Yeah.
him, like, yeah, like, I it was really sad to see Ned looking at the phone, and then being accepted at MIT was like I was so happy, but then I was sad that he was not going with them in Boston.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah. Oh my god. We talked about that whole scene.
Yeah. Oh man, it was heartbreaking. Just him, because like it slowly dawns on him that it would probably be
Yeah,
better for him to not say anything. Because he goes in and he starts saying it, and then he realizes that they're like happy, like they're going to MIT.
yeah,
They're still friends. They're gonna like just be happy at the school of their dreams.
yeah,
But then he still starts to say it anyway, and he notices the cut on MJ's like forehead,
yeah.
and he was like, "Oh, like they'd be safer too
December 2. Yeah,
without me." And that's the moment where he decides not to say anything, and now it's heartbreaking. Just like these are the only people that he has left,
yeah. Oh,
and he knows that they would be
yeah,
happy and safer without him.
yeah.
Um,
Oh, I was so sad he didn't tell them, and like
yeah.
I started to grow with those characters, and especially with MJ because like
Hmm.
I kind of liked her in Homecoming, but I was a little like hesitant because I didn't know where they were going with that character.
Hmm.
Until Far From Home is where I kind of like felt comfortable with the character there, and then this movie made me really love MJ, and then the the
Yeah. She's
the
gone.
shoe
Yeah.
you know dropped in, and it's like, oh my god, that killed me. Oh my god, just kills me so much. Uh, yeah, and I know we've been going around talking all over the place with this film. It was kind of cool. They put the final battle scene in the Statue of Liberty. I don't know. It was like a reference to the first X-Men film. Like it's been 21 years since the like big Marvel hit, and
Hmm.
like I don't know. That was like kind of coincidence they put the final battle there. Like I don't know. And um, just want to throw that out. That was kind of and the shield that we got mentioned from Elena
Hmm.
got confirmed here. So that was neat to connect that um with Hawkeye.
Hmm.
That was cool. I like the I don't know, it's just the coffee cup has something this like had a message say it'd be better you'd be happy, like or it makes you happy. Like I kind of like they did like a dramatic message to sum up Pierre's like reason to not go and tell MJ and at least his true identity again.
Hmm.
Um, like that was a cool like uh, way to like address the message of what was going on with a coffee cup that
Yeah.
he got from
And
MJ.
yeah, that's like a very common coffee cup design in New York too. So I
Oh,
like that
okay,
it's like, well, it's still like it's just like
yeah,
a natural piece of world building that also reinforces the theme of the movie
okay,
is really nice. And it's just like another connection between the character and New York.
yeah, yeah. The reason I say that is because we see it again in his apartment.
Hmm.
We get towards the end of the movie when he does his winning as usual.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. You're the New Yorker than me. I'm still the small time boy uh, in the group. But yeah, so afterwards he gets a apartment,
Hmm.
and it was cool. A lot of people have mentioned like the apartment looked kind of similar to the PS4 game.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know if you have that, but like it
Yeah,
looked,
I love that game.
yeah, it's wonderful. It looks really great. And then this is where I was like upset, frustrated that they didn't show us the new suit he made, and
He
it looked,
kind of did.
yeah, but you didn't see the chest, and then I mean, you saw the back. It was kind of, I love the new suit he wore towards the end.
Hmm.
Oh my god, I was so happy. It looked like the John Romita Jr. kind of design, like it looked pop, like the
Hmm.
colors, and oh my god, I was so happy. And his eyes, like maybe look
Hmm.
a little larger than his previous ones we have seen.
Hmm.
Oh my god, I was so happy. And of course he went around the Rockefeller, of course. That was
Hmm.
we already seen in Hawkeye, and that was a cool nod, like another cool like connection that's already been already been seen from another Marvel thing, and so that was cool. And it was Christmas. Um,
Yeah.
um, Industry they didn't put the emphasis of Christmas more in the film. I'm kind of surprised they didn't um, do that more. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know. It'd be kind of cool to do that. So we mentioned the Venom thing, mid credit scene, and I don't know. I don't care. I don't want Venom, but anyway. Sorry about that, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm excited for the symbiote to be in
yeah.
like in
Being
the MCU.
yeah,
Yeah, we can get like a better interpretation of Venom.
yeah. I wonder if they're gonna do the Flash Thompson like Agent Venom. I,
Um,
like flip.
yeah,
You know,
I I like Agent Venom. I don't know if I want this version of Flash to become that, especially if he doesn't remember Peter Parker.
that's true. Yeah. Um, y Speaking of the spell, do you have any problem with the spell? Um, like,
Uh,
y-
I have some questions about like questions that like you shouldn't ask about a movie because you're
yeah,
thinking about it too hard. But like, does the government forget that Peter Parker exists? Because that's a headache. That's a lot of
yeah,
paperwork.
yeah. I like.
Um,
Well,
because he
I
had to
was.
take the GED, which means he didn't finish high school.
Oh
Ah,
yes, he
man.
didn't. Oh
So
yeah,
like that's complicated, but I also don't want them to explain that because that's you shouldn't waste narrative time explaining
no, no.
the uh like bureaucratic hoops he had to jump through after
Jump
he
through.
erased his own existence. But
Yeah,
yeah, that
yeah.
that I have
I
a problem with. But other than
okay.
that, like I don't know. I think it's better if he has a secret identity. So
Yes, yeah. And he's the only like superhero who has a secret identity in the MCU.
yeah, in the MCU, yeah.
Yeah. Um, I can someone explained it better, but like it's one of these podcasts I mentioned. It's like don't apply logic to it, and then he explained I the events that we saw with Spider-Man still happen. It's just that everyone that had interact with Spider-Man doesn't know that it's Peter Parker. It's like he wasn't unmasked during those
Right.
kind of events. So that's
But
how
I
like
think they forgot who Peter Parker was though.
yes,
Like
that's
like no one knows Peter Parker, even like his school.
yeah,
Like but yeah, no, they still know who Spider-Man is.
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
that's how I probably see it. And and like but then like my question is like, does it extend it to the cosmic universe, like Captain Marvel? And I don't know.
But no, I think literally everyone doesn't know who
Mm,
Peter Parker is.
yeah, that's true. I don't know. It's a lot. Like it's also the wording that like what Parker say or what Strange say was kind of weird. Like I feel like they shouldn't reword what they were saying about like what Peter wanted Strange to do for this new spell, and it wasn't like clear. I feel like, and that's why it's like a little confusing right now for some folks and
Yeah.
us as well. But yeah, so then now we're at the end of the film, and then we discussed a little bit mid credit scene. The trailer. I don't know. You had a chance to see the new trailer of Doctor Strange.
I did.
Oh my god! So thank goodness it actually released today, ironically and
Hmm.
conveniently. Um, so what do you thought about the trailer? Let's discuss that quickly, and then just wrap up with the spoiler cast. What are your thoughts on the trailer?
Yeah, I think it looks interesting. I'm excited for the movie. Excited to see Wanda again.
Yes.
Uh, interested to learn more about America Chavez. Um, I liked that they brought back the visuals from What If of the
Yes.
universe disappearing, and it looks kind of like ink melting
Yeah.
away. Um,
Supreme Strange is back.
well, yeah,
Or
at the very least, there's an evil Doctor Strange. I hope
yeah.
it's not. Hope they
Or
aren't
okay.
making What If required viewing.
Yeah, that's true.
Um,
Okay.
but yeah, um, yeah, no, I'm interested to see what happens. I'm just excited for more Doctor Strange visuals because that was the best part of the first movie. I loved the fight scene in No Way Home. I was in the mirror
Yes.
dimension. Like anytime
Strange.
Doctor
Yes.
Strange gets to get trippy, I love it.
Yeah. My favorite scene from Infinity War was Strange versus Thanos,
Yep, yep.
and that was the most iconic thing from that film, and everyone
Hmm.
talked about that. It was like
Yeah,
it really showed the potential of Strange as a character.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you, Will. I'm just excited to do more weird things with the Strange universe, and like and more so in the first film. And we haven't it's kind of funny. Toby's back. Is also I'm excited to see Sam Raimi back. Um,
Hmm.
I'm very curious and excited to see where Raimi and the writers going to take the characters and Strange into this film. Um, I'm very excited to see Wanda again. I love Wanda now. Um,
Hmm.
did you hear scream or like they were like talking in whispers? Oh look, it's Wanda! I I feel like people are
Hmm.
very excited to see Wanda again.
Yeah, I mean, WandaVision was really popular even with people that like aren't super into the MCU.
Yeah,
So
it's
yeah, I love that she's like,
getting more popular. I love that.
yeah.
Oh my god, yeah. And we haven't discussed like the awards that WandaVisions get. Like it was cool that the Golden Globes they nominate Elizabeth and Paul in the maybe series category.
Hmm.
If I remember correctly, last time I checked. So it's a big deal. That the show is getting a lot, and it just shows how the first show just kick it out the park. So that's all it needs. Yeah, I'm very excited. I'm very excited to see um Mardu coming back. That
Hmm.
was because we haven't seen him since the first film, and and so I'm excited to pick up the stuff from Doctor Strange, the first Doctor Strange, and well, hopefully they pick up the stuff from that like was it make credit scene
Hmm.
Doctor Strange. Oh, it's been a while to see that film. Um, and then what else? That was in the trailer. And I guess was there anything? Oh, and the villain. I guess we saw that like one-eyed creature. I forgot the name of it. Uh, I'm sorry. What was the one-eyed villain called?
Oh, I don't know.
Uh, yeah,
In D&D, it's a beholder.
Beholder.
I don't know.
It's all right, here we go. I think I'm trying to get the name. It starts with a Markle or something like that. I don't know. I'm excited for more weird things for Doctor Strange.
Hmm.
So, but yeah. So overall, last thing, the score for this film was great. It was great to hear not only the villains' themes, but Toby and Indra's themes back in
Hmm.
this film. Um, and yeah, I thought it was good to bring those themes back to form the franchise in general. But overall thoughts, Will, is Spider-Man No Way Home is it your favorite comic book movie of this year, or is it still the Suicide Squad?
Oh man, I think I want to watch No Way Home again before I make that call.
Okay. For me, it's still Shang-Chi for me as
Okay.
so I think this is number third for me as my favorite after the Suicide Squad and Shang-Chi. Uh, but I mean, I think this year, we will do a podcast on well, maybe we'll add this into the Disney Plus shows like the 2021 superhero Marvel films. Um, and I think this year was a good year for superhero films. Um,
Yeah.
but I mean, last year we didn't have too many, of course.
Did we have
Or
any last year?
well, DC had like
Oh, yeah, I guess Birds of Prey was 2020.
yeah, and then Wonder Woman 1984.
Oh, oof. Yep.
Yeah, and then there were
Birds
like
of Prey was fun.
yeah, it was fine. I didn't mind that. I didn't hate it like a lot of people did. Um,
Yeah, no, I liked it. It wasn't like great, but it was fun, you know.
yeah. No, I agree with you. It was I really like Ewan McGregor's Black Mask. I was so happy
Mm,
that character was realized, and he was my favorite part about that film. So yeah, and then there were like other like original or like independent like adaptations of comics. So, but
mhm.
yeah, but in terms of the major like comic book films, it was only DC last year, and then this year it was like again full on Marvel, you know, films.
Mhm.
One Sony, and then well two, but if you want to count Spider-Man No Way Home, but that's an MCU thing.
Yeah.
And then one DC film, which is the Suicide Squad, and uh, but yeah, I think this year was so good, very consistent. Only bad film was really Venom 2, but even that wasn't horrible. Like it was better than the first film. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Anything else, Will? Uh, uh, to
No, that's it for me.
yeah. I This is maybe the longest podcast we had since what?
It's getting close to 3 hours now.
Yes,
Yeah.
I know. I'm sorry. There was just a lot to talk about
Yeah.
today. Especially the finale and then the movie, of course. Just we had to discuss because I didn't want to miss anything that
Hmm.
we have to address. Yeah, this is the longest we have since like Shang-Chi or like one of our Agent of Shield's discussions, maybe. But yeah, but thank you, Will, for coming today. It was a wonderful time talking Marvel stuff for the last 3 hours.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and thank you everyone for joining me. Me will be back soon. We're just having a little break because of the Christmas. You know, the Christmas Day is on Saturday, and so we're gonna do Christmas stuff with our families.
Mhm.
So no further ado, enjoy this spectacular podcast when I'm gonna upload it this week. Have a nice holidays, everyone. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.